Now, Ross, we've got another RBA board meeting next Tuesday, Melbourne Cup Day. They're eyeing another rate rise. At the moment, we've got more than 500,000 mortgage holders are set to roll off fixed mortgages onto much higher variable rates in the coming months. What do you expect Michelle Bullock, the new governor, will do on Tuesday?
Well, this comes down to the level of Michelle Bullock's independence. Now, there's no doubting that everybody maintains that the Reserve Bank governor is independent. The second thing about this is that the governor and her staff will provide a recommendation to the board as to what that interest rate decision will be, and it would be highly unusual if the board went against that recommendation. Now, given the fact that right now you've got a treasurer who's only appointed Michelle Bullock, what is it, less than 2 months ago, effectively now saying, well, I think we probably can go without a rate rise, despite the fact that inflation is much higher than anticipated. The question is now whether the board and Michelle Bullock have to assert their independence and raise interest rates. Because right now, with Australia's cash rate being well below the inflation rate, there is serious justification to raise interest rates to ensure really that inflation at the end of 2025 comes back to that target band of 2 to 3%, which is what their stated aim is. And so hopefully that's the case. But tomorrow we're going to see that home prices have actually risen again. And in some capital cities are at record levels. And so this again is adding to the inflation story and the fact that many people right now are enduring these higher interest rates and are still spending.
Just Ross, very quickly, do you think that commentary from the Treasurer, from the government is inappropriate?
I don't think it was appropriate at the time. I think if he had his chance, he might withdraw some of those words. The fact is that every treasurer, doesn't matter what party they've been in, has at some stage tried to jawbone the Reserve Bank, despite their independence. And, the Reserve Banks, by and large, have expressed their own independence. And you can remember the Reserve Bank at one stage raised interest rates on Tony Abbott during an election campaign. Now, the fact of the matter is that happens. And that is showing the genuine independence of a central bank board. They're doing what needs to be done. And right now, there is growing evidence that this Reserve Bank, sad for mortgage holders, needs to raise interest rates higher to try and quell the inflation.
Such a big problem. Ross, before we go, Workplace Relations Minister Tony Burke, he's been forging ahead with these highly unpopular workplace relations reforms. He calls them closing loopholes bill. He's now admitting today, front page of the Australian newspaper, that he does need to make some changes because there is just such major opposition to them. Do you think his proposed reforms are going to go far enough to win over both the business community and employer groups?
Of course they won't. There's no doubt that they will not, because do bear in mind that this is a union-based agenda that's been pushed, and it's actually managed to unite every employer body in the country against these changes, and most of the major companies as well. But the reality is, I think what Tony Burke somehow misses is that the world has changed from organised labour. The world is a more flexible place, and businesses and individuals need flexibility in their lives. Now, that's flexibility as to whether you want to be a casual, whether you want one job or whether you want a part-time job on the weekend, whatever it might be, there needs to be flexibility. And if you have very rigid laws, some of them which protect people, I make no bones about that. But the fact of the matter is you still need to provide the flexibility in the labour force to enable business to be able to grow or shrink. And if our economy after these interest rate rises is starting to decline, you also need the ability to start to put off labour. And that is a reason why many businesses take on casuals, knowing ultimately that those people can be let go if business starts to slow down. That's the reality of the way in which the business world works.
All right, Ross Greenwood, amazing analysis. And of course, you can catch Ross every day at 4:30 right before my show. Thank you so much for your time.